Hello, thanks very much for joining me again. In this episode, I remove the stem head fitting, make a grim discovery,
Not good.
and clear out the inside of the boat. Came to my attention last week that somebody had to Google what bowsprit meant. No names, Dad. So I thought that maybe I should be more descriptive with what I'm getting up to. I thought when I started this YouTube series it would only be wooden boat fanatics that would want to watch, but it seems there's quite a few people that enjoy watching a bloke restore a wooden boat really slowly, so I'll try to be more descriptive and inclusive. What I'm doing here is removing the stem head fitting by first removing the nuts and then the bolts. The nuts and bolts and the stem head fitting were all rusted together, so first I had to cut through the nuts, then pop them off with a screwdriver, and now I'm hammering the bolts out. The stem head fitting is a part of the boat that is bolted, or sometimes screwed if it's a dinghy, onto the stem of the boat, and usually the forestay will come down and fix to it. The forestay is one of the 3 and sometimes more wires that help to hold up the mast situated at the front of the boat. On this stem head fitting, the bowsprit also pops through it. At some point I'll send this off to be shot blasted and re-galvanised with all the other galvanised fittings. Here's Skipjack with her port side garboard removed, or most of it apart from a tricky bit, and her number 1 plank. I've removed a little section there so I can get to the deadwood. The deadwood is this triangular section, or it's actually 2 glued together. You can see there's been a bit of galvic action here, or electrolysis, on the stern tube. So the stern tube has corroded, which has affected the timber in the deadwood. So I will need to take that out and replace it, or at least a top section from here above, as well as the stern post, obviously. I'll draw a little diagram and then you'll be able to see it better. This is cement, which is very common. They'd put cement in the bilge, so there'd be no sort of little areas for fresh water and stuff to accumulate. Not so common is to fill it with white lead, which is what that is. It's probably about 1/2 inch thick, so I'll need to get all that out. And moving along, a lot of her frame bottoms are in good shape. You can see a couple of rotten ones here. They've just rotted away, and then that's a sister frame someone's put in at a later date. These are the little pockets I've talked about before, which is what I wanted to reveal, because obviously to repair the frame in a proper way they need to be sat in the pocket and then go up, and then I can scarf them further up or replace the whole thing. So I really wanted to take the garboard off so I could see the state of everything, and generally it's about what I expected. There is one area of the keel, this is the keel, this section here, that's the ballast keel, the lead, and then the keel is there, and then you've got the rebate, or the rabbit I think they call it in America, just here. These are bigger grown timbers, or solid timbers that have been sawn, and they're bolted through. Again, you can see that on the diagram that I'll provide. There's a stubborn section of garboard here where there's quite a few old bolts I couldn't get out, so I'm just going to have to chisel it and get it out in pieces. And then here is the section of the keel I'm most concerned about. There's obviously been a bit of rot in the section, and what they've done is kind of laminated a little section onto the rebate, or the rabbit. So I need to take that out, get it dried properly and have a look. And that's that really. So I'll get that last bit of garboard out, get it all cleaned up, hoovered, scraped, and then we can see what's going on a bit better. I just finished exposing the keel, getting the last bit of the garboard out, and unfortunately there's a bit of rot in the keel here. See, that shouldn't be able to happen. Yeah, you can see here, see all this rust on the ballast keel. Fresh water's obviously been getting in and then accumulating there and then saturating the keel, yeah, and causing damage. So that's really depressing. It means that I've got to replace a section of the keel, or I go for the whole keel. I need to process this and think what I'm going to do about it. So bronze and copper doesn't really rust, but it does deteriorate over time. These are all fixings I've taken out of the garboard, and you can obviously see they're in various states of decay. This is why she'll need refastening. Here's a section of the number 1 plank I took off from just here. You can see how many fastenings were in it. Over the years, as the plank tried to part itself from the boat, people just put more and more fastenings in, hoping that it would hold. But of course, this was rotting and not giving much purchase power. What I'm doing here is grinding the heads off some of the rusty bolts so I can then smack them through the frame without damaging the frames. It was much easier to do it on this side once the garboard was off than inside the boat in the very small space above the keel. Here she is in her exposed state. Not so good as I was hoping. Obviously there's a bit of rot in the keel, and there's quite a few damaged frames and frames that have been replaced. You can see one here, another one here, another one here, another one here. This is the section of the keel that's rotten. Another frame that's rotted away there. Some of these frames here have got cracks in further up on the bilge, so they'll need to be replaced. And then you can see there's a further 1, 2, 3 frames that will need reinstating, plus the deadwood, top of the deadwood and the stern post. So it's quite a list. It's quite unfortunate. It really does change the project, and it's going to make it a lot longer. My friend Dot is here to help me clear out the saloon, but she's hiding, so you can't see her.
My glasses are sort of in the way.
So yeah, action shot. Dot is a wooden boat fanatic and also volunteers for a lot of local charities, organisations and trusts. Dot owns a 1947 Morgan Giles West Channel 1 design that she's restoring. She was kind enough to offer me a couple days help this week, so I said yes please. Thought a good thing for us to do would be to clear out the rest of Skipjack's interior. enough, it doesn't need slow motion. So here we are, a clean boat. Well, not clean, but unobstructed. With Dot's help, we've taken down all the bulkheads and the saloon seats, and I can now see what's going on with the frames. See where she's got loads of sisters here, and they're all broken. So she's obviously taken a hard knock or laid over on her side at some point. But now I can get to everything, which is great. My plan was, before I knew I had to replace the keel, I was going to start on the frames, but it's pointless doing the frames now, as the keel needs to be done first. So I think the next thing I'll be doing is concentrating on the deck. So I'll remove all the old sheathing, take off the margin planks, which are the very end planks on the deck, and that allow me to get out any rotten deck beams and knees. So that is the plan. So tomorrow I'm going to go and look for some timber. Hi, I'm just walking the dog and thinking about how best to deal with the rotten keel situation. Sorry about the banging. There's a quarry behind me. I shouldn't be so surprised really. It's a 113-year-old boat, and I know that I was going to find some rot and problems that I wasn't aware of. It's just a bit of a shame because I gave the keel, along with the rest of the boat, quite a good survey. But it was fine from the top. It wasn't until I took the garboard off that exposed the trouble. So yeah, it's a bit of a blow, but I think the most cost-effective way forward is to buy a tree. If I get a tree in the round and then mill it up myself, or take it to a friend's mill, get it milled, that's going to yield the most wood for the money, and that'll be the way to go, I think. Obviously it's going to put more time on the project, but that's life. There's part of me that thinks, should I stop now? But it would be such a waste of the boat, and for, you know, some extra effort I could still save her. So that's what I'm inclined to do. Thanks for watching and liking. If you haven't already, please subscribe. That really helps the channel. See you next time. Bye.